everyone for joining the first video in our Data Viz series. I got our first guest, Chris from iJet. Chris, thanks for coming out.
Sure. So, I'm Chris Brozenick. I'm the VP of Product Strategy at iJet. In any given day, that can comprise a lot of different things, which I'm sure we'll get into later. But, iJet is really a company about intelligence and data and understanding threats in the world as they pose to all of us. Could be weather related, could be related to things like terrorism, geopolitical events around the world. And we like to say for our clients, we do three things. We help them understand and prepare for events as they happen. We help them analyze and know what to do when those things do occur. And we give them the ability to respond and react when the unfortunate thing happens, and to keep their staff, their employees, and their personnel out of harm's way. And so at the end of the day, it's a SaaS-based platform where we deliver these capabilities to our users, but it's really a lot more than that, because it's our analysts and our expertise and our people and the services that we wrap around that SaaS platform that really makes it powerful to our clients.
And would you say that's a unique quality of your organization compared to some of your competitors?
It is. What I think we really, really do well, and it's a testament to how iJet has really grown over the years. We've established now, I think it's over 120 analysts around the world, here in the Washington, D.C. area, in London, in Cape Town, and over in Singapore. 24/7, we have people monitoring the globe, what's happening, both from a personnel point of view, but also through our technology and through automated capabilities. So when you bring those two together, it's just really powerful.
Oh, great, excellent. So talk to us a little bit about your role in the company. What are some of the challenges you face in your role? We can start with that. I have a bunch more questions for you after that.
So my role, I really think it comes down to three or four things. The first one is the strategy piece, and, trying to look out 12 months, 24 months, maybe even 5 years out at what are some of the trends and some of the things happening in the world, in our industry, with our clients, first and foremost, understanding what their problems are as a customer. And that's really a good way to frame it, is if you can first know what challenges your customers have and how to solve those, you can ultimately build great products. So we really try to start with that. The second piece is around the roadmap. And so once we understand the problems, we understand where the market's going, where our clients are going, then we're trying to figure out, all right, what do we need to deliver each quarter, each year to make that happen? And product management and the product strategy team, our job is really to outline the priorities and help make those decisions. There's a lot of things we could do. Like most companies, we have limited resources, we have limited time. So making those decisions on what we do now versus later, what we take off the plate, I always like to say what you're not going to do is just as important as what you are going to do. And sometimes those are the tough decisions. So we help make those for the company, for our clients, and for the sales team that's out there trying to decide, all right, what can we promote? What can we get done? The third piece of it is really around how do we do the packaging and the pricing and all the things that wrap around the product? Are there service components? Is there, in our case, things like hotlines that we offer that our customers, when they need help, they can dial in on? A lot of that is baked in. So it's thinking about the whole product, not just the software or the mobile app, but the whole big picture. Gotcha. And so that's a lot of the work that we have to do as well.
Okay, excellent. And what are some of the, I'm sure there's challenges, pain points that have come across to you, and how do you handle them? What are some examples of pain points, and how do you overcome and face those challenges?
Well, there's, in any given week, I think there's a lot of pain points. Obviously the biggest challenge to start with is really understanding what the customer problems are. And the pain point there is it's easy to get feedback from customers. It's not as easy to actually get into the details as to understanding what their problems are. And that usually takes a lot more work and a lot more time. You have to be out there in the field with the customer You have to see how they do their job day in and day out. I prefer to have myself and my team sit with the customer and actually watch them, shadow them, and understand what they're doing on any given day. So it's not so much a pain point as it is just a point of a lot of work and a lot of effort to get to that. It seems easy at the end of the day. You might come out with a list of 5 or 6 core things that the customer needs done. And to the layperson looking at that, it's like, well, absolutely, it's obvious this is what the customer needs. But a lot of times to get to that point took a lot of work. And so understanding that, explaining that is a big part of what we do. Another pain point I would say is really around the data. I mean, we have a tremendous amount of data that we as a company take in every single day. I mean, we are monitoring literally every country in the world, and depending on who you talk to, that's somewhere between 200 and 215 different locations if you count territories and so forth. Sometimes within a country, obviously larger countries like the US or China or Russia, there's multiple major cities. And so our analysts are having to look at all of that, take in data feeds, take in information, and make decisions. And so from a product point of view, that's very challenging, because how do we ultimately present that to our clients in a way that they can make sense of it, and that they're not going to be trying to connect the dots themselves? We have to help connect the dots for them.
With these sort of challenges and the great work that you're doing as far as embracing your client, working with them, getting involved, immersing yourself with them, when you ultimately chose this as a career path, was this part of your expectations of what it would take to to be successful and to put you where you are today?
Well, it was interesting because I came onto product management, whether you want to call it product management or product strategy, sort of accidentally. I didn't go to college saying I want to be a product manager. I went to college for engineering, for electrical engineering. And I sort of knew I didn't want to be a coder. I kind of felt like I wanted to be somewhere in between the customer and the actual development work that happened. But I didn't know at the time what that role was. In my first job out of college, I spent the first couple of years figuring that out. And I realized within the company I was in that the product managers really were at that sweet spot between knowing what the market and the customer needed and knowing what the engineering team, what the development team was capable of. And at the end of the day, the job is, to help prioritize and guide the development staff and those resources into what they're going to build, what they're going to work on, not to tell them how to do the job, just to say, look, these should be our priorities as a business. And it's that one foot on the business side, one foot on the technical side that I really like. So, it's certainly not an easy job, because by having one foot in one place and the other foot in the other place, it makes it at times very, very chaotic. Every day is different. There's no set script or routine that you can follow. And, a lot of times product gets put in the position of being seen as the reason why things work or don't work. If you make the wrong decision on what you build as a product and it flops, that typically is blamed on product. It's not typically blamed on the development team, unless it's buggy or it has a lot of problems. So, but I found it to be a very fulfilling job. I've been doing it in one form or the other for the last 20 years in 3 or 4 different companies, and I found it to be, where I like to be. So.
And so with that being said, the next question is about best practices. Do you feel that there are certain best practices that you like to follow in order to be successful?
Yeah, I mean, there's actually a lot of really good best practices. The first one comes into play up front for understanding what it is that we're going to build, what we're going to work on. Many years ago in my first job, I had some really good mentors and bosses that taught me this business case process. I call it the 6-question model. And essentially what it is it's really saying, before you start to undertake a development and really spend a lot of money and put a lot of resources to it, what are the questions you need to answer clearly so you're sure as a business you understand what it is you're trying to get done? And those 6 questions, quite simply are, what is the market that you're trying to go after and why. That's really what is the problem you're trying to solve for the customer. What is the simple view of the product you're trying to build? Can you outline it in a couple of bullet points? Not the detailed spec at this point, just an outline of what you're trying to do. Can we build it? Meaning, do we have the right resources? Do we have the right staff, the talents to do something like that? Because you can dream up ideas all day that you want to develop, but if you don't have the right people, it's sort of a fool's exercise to do that until you know what you have on board. Can we make money? Obviously, very critical. There's a lot of great ideas, but not necessarily has a good plan to make money and a good ROI. Can we sell it? Do we have the right staff and the right channels to sell for the market that we're going after? And then ultimately, the longer term view is, can we sustain this? Nobody wants to have a one-hit wonder, I guess, unless it's really, really big, So you want to have a plan over the long haul of how you can continue to improve and maintain this product. So what I've typically done as a best practice, a process is, for any major effort, we try to go through as a team those 6 questions. It may take a few days, a few weeks even to get all of those outlined in a way that we can then present it to the business leaders and make a good decision up front. If you do that, in my view, that's the bulk of the work up front. If you can answer those questions, get that clearly defined, the rest of the work tends to be a lot simpler.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's talk about data for a second. And you touched on that a little bit. And you mentioned that in some cases that you are constantly analyzing and bringing in new data. But really specifically, how does the data aspect play a role in your organization?
Yeah, well, really, our clients are mostly Fortune 1000 companies. A lot of our clients are. And so the people using our platform, there's 2 sides to it. There are the security managers and the travel managers and the people looking at our dashboard and understanding where their people, where their facilities, where their assets are around the world. And then the other side of the equation is the actual employee, the person that's out there, maybe a traveler in a foreign country. It may be somebody at their home location, at their office, and something just happened down the street and they need to understand if they have to evacuate the building. So how the data is presented, the clarity of the data, the ability, as I said earlier, for the administrator or the security manager to connect the dots quickly is really, really important. So our goal is not just to throw a lot of data in front of them, but to give them discrete pieces that help them make a decision quickly first. And then you get into a little deeper discussion if it's something that's, not life critical at the moment and they want to just understand better, for example, what the geopolitical situation is going to be over the next several years in a particular country. That's something that they can go into more depth on later. But the life critical, life safety things has to be very simple, very quick, to the point. So that data has to be presented that way.
Great. And how do you package that? You're essentially on that. You're in the product side. You have this valuable data that customers are looking for. What sort of are the methods that you do as far as packaging this to make it so that it's actively usable and beneficial for your customers?
So, a couple of different streams that it comes through. The first one is what I would call the alert stream. So, packaging up very quick, simple headlines that we can push out when something happens. And we have 3 levels of those alerts. We have critical alerts. That means obviously that it's very, very important. It could have life implications. We have warnings, which means something may be about to happen or something is starting to happen, but it's not at that critical phase yet. And then we have informational alerts, and those tend to be just FYI. There may be a protest in downtown Washington, D.C. this weekend. There may be transportation disruptions. Be aware. So those 3 levels, that's a big part of our packaging, is when the user sees it, whether it's in their mobile app or on the dashboard, they know right away if it's a critical, you got to pay attention now, got to understand what the impact is. The other thing that we do that's really important and that's unique to iJet is, we don't just throw information at our clients about everything that's happening. We give them information first about where it impacts their people and their facilities. So in other words, we bring together in context, and that's really the word that we like to use. We give them the context of the list of things and people that are affected by this event, not everything. And we do that through our system. We combine travel data, location data, other different factors that we bring together to say, okay, this event that's happening in this city, in this country, you have 100,000 employees worldwide in your company. There's only 30 people that show as being affected by this particular event. So then the company can focus on those 30 people versus the 100,000 people at large in the company. And so that's a real important part of how we package and plan the data.
That's great. And I would imagine the way your packaging and the way you strategize that packaging really leads to the monetization, right? So it comes down to, how do you find is the best way to monetize this and, ultimately align what the client or customer needs as far as value and sort of making sure that what you have is satiating that.
Sure. Yeah, well, we really, most of our clients are on a annual contract kind of basis. So, we have a number of levels of service we can provide, starting with just the intelligence, giving them the raw intelligence and the data so they can create their own program and their own platform and use it. Most of our clients, however, choose to engage with us and let iJet operate as their what we call, the security operations center, the place where when people need help, they call into our hotline. We have a staff of people all around the world, DC, Singapore, London, Cape Town, that can take that call and help them react. And so when you get to those higher tiers, the packaging there is monetized obviously through those services that we provide beyond it. So there's several different tiers within the product. We have a couple of modules of capabilities that people can add on. For example, we now have a two-way communication module, meaning that our clients can use us to send messages and reach out to all of their employees wherever they may be. We've had that for a while, but now we actually have the ability then to let the employee send a two-way communication back and let the company know they're okay, or if they need help, where they are, respond. So that's a new module that we've just added recently. And so that has its own pricing component to it.
Great, wonderful. Well, it leads me down to the bulk of questions where it comes down to the future of the company and future of your role more specifically. How do you feel your role will evolve in the next, let's say, 5 years, 10 years down the road?
Within the company?
Well, your role as a product individual and being able to further say, where will iJet take its products? Where will it need to evolve? How is your role going to need to evolve in order to accommodate that?
Right. Well, the first thing is it is always evolving. I mean, there's no doubt, this is a type of job, and specifically if you're in the software and the data business, which, at the end of the day we are, it's always changing. There's new things coming on the horizon. There's new technologies, new products. Staying on top of that is really, really important. If we look just in the last 5-7 years or so, how mobile has completely revolutionized how we do our work. When iJet started, which was back around 2000, 17 years ago, there really wasn't the proliferation of mobile devices yet. Most mobile phones were just for making phone calls, which is kind of a novel concept now. And so the reality is we have to embrace these new technologies that come along as they come and be able to give our clients that capability to interact with us. So, my job, a big part of it is understanding what's coming down the road from that perspective. When we talk about data, that's another whole view of it, because everybody has now experience, I think they feel, in terms of visualization and how they expect to see things, and they know what's good and what's not good from their own sort of consumer behavior. Now they expect that same quality and capability in the business side. And so what we present in our dashboard, in the mobile app, how it appears, that's a really big part of the equation, because we've realized that, if our clients aren't using our products, if it's not engaging, doesn't excite them to a degree that they're interested to be there and they want to use it, at the end of the day, we're not going to be successful as a business. So that's important for the role for product, to make sure that we're evolving on that front as well.
Do you see any trends that have been very interesting to you in order to help you reach those goals? Things that are popping up in the market that are standing out?
Yeah, I mean, I think, what's interesting is just how many companies have sprung up that are doing really great work around visualization and analytics. One that is a little bit larger that everybody knows is Tableau, and certainly we've used Tableau and started to be able to visualize our data. But, just having that off-the-shelf platform isn't enough. And I know companies like yours with Boost Labs plays a role in that, to be able to help take, the data the company has and put it together in a meaningful way that you're going to actually be able to take action from it and get results from it. So I think those kind of things are really, really important, because the one thing, as a company, going back to what I said in the beginning, we don't have unlimited resources. We're not a company to figure out how to design visualization software. We're a company that we need to figure out how we can solve our customer problem with the right data. And so if there are great tools and great companies like yours that can help us get there quicker, that's definitely worth it. That's going to pay dividends, get us quicker to where we need to be, help our clients see things more clearly. So taking advantage of that is really, really key for us.
Gotcha. And to wrap this up, if someone else was looking to be you, Chris, in the next few years?
I don't know if I could recommend that.
Anyway, well, what's the best piece of advice you could give that individual?
I think the first thing is, if you want to be in the product management, product marketing, product strategy, there's several different pieces to it. I think it's really, really good to have a solid technical grounding first. Not saying you have to have an engineering degree, but I think the best product managers have one foot on the technical side, one foot on the business side. So at least, understanding what the developers go through, what their job is every day. If you're in an agile company, how that process works, how the sprint cycle works. Getting some experience there is really, really important to start with. Secondly, the business side of the equation, really having a little bit of an understanding in terms of what a good business case is all about, how a company needs to make money ultimately, and that you've got to be able to balance the demands of what clients need with building the right things that can make money. So, typically people that gravitate towards product have a good firm understanding of both of those and can bring them together in the right way. So, obviously classes and courses that you can take in both of those fronts. There's some really, really great modules out there. I took recently in the last couple of years, and it was a great kind of continuous learning for me, this whole thing called pragmatic marketing. And pragmatic marketing, although it has marketing in the title, it's really about product management, and it's really about how do you take an idea and bring it to fruition? What's the process you follow? So, those are some great courses to really help you get a firm understanding of what product management is all about.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you coming out again to take the time for our first video in our series. Anybody that is watching, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've gotten a lot of value out of it. We're always open to suggestions and ways to improve this. Being the first video, it's never going to be perfect, but figured we'd bring this out and give it a shot. So again, thanks Chris from iJet for coming out. I'm Ali, the CEO of Boost Labs. Hope you enjoy.